Hi, everyone. This is Ray Luskin. I'm an artist, an author, an activist, and the creative mindfulness mentor. And today I'm so excited that you joined us for our Women Who Dare conference. It's a gathering of women working at the intersection of art, health, and social change, especially during these, trying times the last year and a half. We need conversations. We need tools. We need strategies to keep us healthy and safe, and also to get our creative juices going so that we can come up with innovative solutions to all the problems that we are facing today. And one of my guests today, I'm very excited, I've been following her for quite a while, is Mary L McCarthy. She is the founder and CEO of CreateWriteNow. She's an award-winning author and an accomplished musician as well, recording artist. So welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Well, thanks for having me, Ray. I'm really excited to be with you. I'm really, really pleased you asked me. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm really excited to have you here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your backstory and why journaling? Why has that been the focus of your work?
Okay. Probably about 20-some years ago, I had an MS exacerbation where I lost feeling on the right, or most of the feeling on the right side of my body. So I wasn't able to write with my right hand. So I needed a way to, a procedure. I was a high-powered businesswoman, so I needed a procedure yesterday to teach me how to write with my left hand. And synchronistically, the universe stepped in, and a young lady introduced me to Morning Pages by Julia Cameron. And every morning, first thing, you just sit down and you just write 3 pages of whatever,
Oh, I know. I was introduced to her too. She was very instrumental. But I also, for me, took it a little step further. I created a visual diary and started putting pictures in instead of words, because I got a lot of people saying to me, but my husband reads it, my kids look at it, I don't want them to know. And I started talking about it the other way, but it was totally, I adopted it as well, though.
What an awesome idea.
Yeah. So yeah, I knew we had a lot to talk about. So
and also too, that's what I tell all my clients. I said, there's only one right way to journal, and it's your way. And that's what works for Ray. So it's just like, that, and I think that's the whole thing that, as you attested, that was the great thing about Morning Pages, was the freedom. It's just like, wow. And that's how I got into everything. I mean, the spirit, my spirituality, my emotionality, my mentality, and physical. And I mean, it was just more than I ever imagined. I certainly just wanted it for physical therapy, but it was like, oh my goodness, like you said,
the world opened up when you started journaling. I know that for myself. It is such a tool for reflection and clarity and intention, and you find out so much about yourself. So what are a few of the things you found out about yourself in your practice?
Well, the first thing I found out was I always loved music, and I always wanted to be a real singer. And coming up through the Morning Pages, I remembered the experience of probably being 4th, 5th grade when I wanted to be in the choral group. And they told me, and I don't know if that's what the words they used, but this was my interpretation, that I was tone deaf. So that really shut me down for my singing, my music for forever and ever. But that was the first thing that came up in the, big, huge thing that came up in the Morning Pages was the singing. And it's like, oh my goodness, I want to learn how to be a singer. That's, I love music. I want to pursue that. I'm getting into things like, feelings, woo, like, oh my goodness, how that was a whole nother conversation. And what was so fantastic, Ray, was probably about a month later, after I set my goal that I'm going to become a real singer, to get, take lessons, do the whole, whatever it, I needed to. In the local newspaper was a feature about a music school that had been around for 30 years that catered to students of all ages. Well, duh, here I am.
Yeah, I get it.
So I mean, it's as if all these other exciting, fantastic things inside me were coming up. It's just like, it's sort of like Ralph Waldo Emerson says, once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. So I just really found that by doing, being in the routine and doing the daily morning pages, and just, again, it's a really no-brainer, literally.
Right.
And it's just like, oh my goodness, all of this and more is inside of me. And it's just, it was just phenomenal. And I thought, at some point, I thought, oh, I'm going to set up a company and I'm going to share this with the world. It's
I
just,
think it's fabulous. I know for me, I used it for healing, definitely emotional healing and stuff. And I talk about that all the time. I start out with a gratitude journal, 3 things every day, that I was grateful for. And sometimes, and then 3 things I did well, and they could be the same thing. I brushed my teeth today. I was really struggling at that point in a very serious depression. And so, starting that way. So why don't you talk about your process and how you get people started in journaling?
well, what I do is I talk to people and I put things in context. We come into this world, as you know, with all our talent, creativity, everything to be our best selves, and most talented selves. So we have all the raw material inside of us. Then we get all this wonderful adult supervision from parents, from the nuns at St. Bernard's grade school, the mainstream media, teachers that tell us we have no creativity, can't write, or in my case, or tone deaf, those types of things. So I just want to put it in context for people and they become what I call issues in our tissues. I mean, we carry around every thought, memory, whatever, and it's inside our being. So doing journaling is something that is so against what we've been taught how to do, that spending time with yourself. So you go through all kinds, there's a big, and that's why we're masters of self-sabotage. It's just like, because we've just been so ingrained with just, putting everybody in the world first, and, and thinking that, I'm not worth anything, the whole scenario. So my suggestion to get people started is to get a favorite pen, a notebook, whatever, nothing fancy, and just sit down with yourself and just start to become aware of how you are feeling. It's very easy to determine what you're thinking because we've been in our heads for all these years. So my suggestion is to just sit down and then go through that, take the time to yourself, and then put a question at the top of the page of your journal, and then just take, say, 5 minutes, take a page, whatever, set a little bit of a goal, and just write. So that way you experience what it's all about.
Right. And I know for myself, I am that person who goes to the dollar store every year before school starts and I buy a ton of journals, and that's what I do. They're not fancy. They're just paper journals, and I start that
that's
way.
what I use. Exactly. I have my one subject notebook. Exactly.
Exactly. And I have them, and I used to have them stacked up, and I finally had to start getting rid of them. I became this, instead of a bag lady, I was a journal lady. I was like, oh my God, you can't even walk in my house. So now I try and just keep them for the year, and I know I've had discussions saying, oh, you can't throw your idea journal out. Yes, I can at this point. There are things, for me, I've had success journals, I've had idea journals, I've had gratitude journals, and I've had just general journals, whatever I'm learning or thinking about at that moment. So yeah, I agree with you. You just have to start, and it doesn't have to be expensive. You do need to find a pen that you like. Now I used to write with just regular pens. Now I use a grip one because it's a fatter pen. I know I need that because otherwise my hands get cramped. And we all change at different times in our lives.
Right.
And I believe if we can to write, it does more for our brain when we write rather than type. So,
oh yes, with my scenario and CreateWriteNow, it's all about pen to page consistently. preferably daily, but just consistently. So, so some of my clients are, oh, I don't know if I can do it. I said, well, commit to something. If you're gonna, one of my clients is a weekend journaler. Okay, then she does it every weekend. So it's just like, but that's what this, again, going back to what I said earlier, that's what's so cool about journaling. It's all up to you and how you feel. But just the guidelines are pen to page and do it consistently.
Right. Do you want to talk about some of the physical benefits of journaling?
I think the first benefit of journaling is that it got me out of my head and it gets us back into our body. As I said, earlier, when we come into the world, kids are living in their body. They're living in every inch of their being, and then we're taught and guided and into left brain and passing the SATs and the XYZs and getting ahead and figures and all that kind of stuff. So we, to the point, as with my experience, we lost track of, well, I'm a successful businesswoman. I can run my own company and all that type of thing. But me, creative, well, that was, again, one of the many ahas I had with the journaling is like, oh my goodness, I am creative as well as, a good, logical, grounded, down-to-earth person who can save the world at the same time.
Right, right. I mean, and I totally agree. And, I know they've done studies, all over the country, about how it benefits us. It lowers our blood pressure because we're writing it instead of keeping it inside. It's like, oh my God, we're getting a way to get all that angst and worry and stress out of our bodies. And I think that's wonderful.
Right. Excuse me. I just want to say too, it really helps us improve our relationship with our whole being, and that means the body. And like I said, with me, my experience is like, I've always treated my body like a car that needs to go to the shop and all that kind of stuff. But again, I don't know, through the magic, the mystery, the medicinal value of journaling, it gets us back into our body so that we take ownership for all of our ourselves. And it's just like, oh, and we get to know our body and what issues in the tissues are our right hip that's continually paining us.
Right. I start, again, I take it to a little bit more of a visual level as well, as you can tell, but I do the same thing where I have a little gingerbread person outline, and I'll put down, I close my eyes and I imagine what hurts. Where's the pain today? What color is it? What shape is it? What texture? Is it hot or cold? And then I'll scribble it. And then I have a dialogue with it. And then I'm writing, so it's a both and for me. That works really well. Again, because I'm a very visual person, that I need both. So, but, you have to find a way to have a dialogue with yourself, because when it's in your head, it's not going to work. Then that's the endless loop that we all get into. But if you start writing, like you're saying, we learn so much about who we are. And how did it change you? I mean, let's talk a little bit more how you went with your music and your spiritual life and how it opened up so many avenues for you.
I don't know how it happened. All I can say is I feel at this point I'm approaching a really big 0 birthday in December, that I am who I really am. I just feel my favorite 4-letter F word. I just feel that I don't sweat the small stuff, because it is all small stuff. I'm able to focus on what I want and set my goals. And I've established wonderful boundaries. And it's just like, I'm very clear on what is them and what is me and things like that. So I could probably very easily rattle off 100.
Well, but I think that's I think that's very helpful for people to understand that when you journal, it's not just about your body. It affects your relationships. It affects your work. It affects who you are in the world and how you present yourself. It even affects, who you become. You know, we have, as you were saying, we have choices, and who we become in the process,
exactly.
who we become in the process of writing. And I think so why don't you talk about the process of writing? You've written a couple books now, and talk to people about that.
It's I do it a little bit backwards than a lot of people do. I start with the title,
Okay.
And the idea, and then I design the cover, and I write the back book, a back cover copy, and then I work on outlining it and writing the book. So it's just I guess maybe that comes from me being a big picture person, always setting a lot of goals and things like that. So I just like right now I'm working on, I just have the idea, just came up with the title for my next book, even though I just have a book that's currently coming out.
All right, right. Tell people the title, tell them how they can find them. So
okay, the latest book that's coming out is currently in pre-order. It's called Mindset Medicine, a journaling power self-love book. And it's all about taking the opportunity to do your inner work and just say, you know, enough is enough with all this mainstream media, crazy cultureness, pandemic, you know, all that type of thing. It is time to go deep, deep, deep down and reconnect with your, not only your body, but your soul and your authenticity and your truth.
So what are some of the journal prompts that you will be, you know, that you would use in something like that?
Well, one of the journal prompts is connecting, being your 10-year-old child and providing the 10-year-old child the true nurturing love, accessibility, attunement, parenting that the 10-year-old child did not get. So, and I think it's very important as part of this process to, you know, go back to and to really put our past in perspective rather than continuing to carry it around with us and, like as you said earlier, grinding and going through all the craziness. So
right, it's like leaning into the past with new eyes.
Right, you want to shall we say, revisit and review. You don't want to relive it.
Right, right. Yeah, it's that idea that we have an opportunity to reframe the story and look at, I mean, I spend a lot of time like, what did I learn from that experience? Because, you know, I believe every experience we have, every story we carry, there is some golden nugget under there. It may be painful, but there is something I'm going to learn about myself. And yeah, my shelves are filled with these kind of books. Yeah. So
right.
I totally get it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too, when you talked earlier about, you know, the benefits that I've gotten, I say that was one of the big benefits of really just like my whole perspective is just like, oh, okay, so, or, you know, someone closing the door or getting a rejection letter, you know, whatever, and it's just like, okay, what's the learning, and then have the perspective. Oh, I see what, you know, what happened with that and what I was giving out. Yeah. So I'm completely with you, Ray. It's just like, oh,
Right.
there's so much learning.
Right, right. Now, I'm going to ask you some questions. Are you self-publishing? Do you have a publisher? How did that work for you? I might as well ask since you've done
Okay,
a few books out there.
Self-publishing. I never ever considered going to a traditional. I guess, you know, it comes from my experience of, you know, being out on my own and running my own companies for all these years. It's just like, you know, why go back to, you know, working for the man again?
Okay, okay. Yeah.
And so I just want to, you know, I put in a plug that the first two books I did, I went through, you know, big companies and they helped me and all that kind of stuff. By the third book, I was with Mindset Medicine. I was really clear on what I wanted, and I had a really good editor and a great graphic designer who, you know, everybody could put it together. All I needed was someone who would publish it. Boom, I found Book Baby. And it's just like it's a really well organized. It's like they've been through this a million times. They have a fantastic distribution thing. So it's just I'm here to plug Book Baby big time, and they're very reasonably priced for the self-published author.
Oh, that's wonderful to know. I think everybody, as I say, I think we all have that story within us, and there are so many people who are scared to start writing.
Yes.
And they're afraid to look inside. And I know when I wrote, I've written a couple books, and the creative activist that we were talking about right before we started, I had an editor who kept saying to me, "Where are you in the book?" It was so easy to tell other people's stories. It's got 36 stories
Yes.
of, and 3 personal development questions and a take action step. And I really loved it. And then they said, "But where are you?" And it was like, oh, yeah, it's really hard to put yourself in the story. And I know you've had to deal with that in one of your books as well. And I mean, I found a vehicle. I used the take action step to tell my story, how I've taken action in different arenas in my life. And that worked. And you do need other eyes, I think, when you're self-publishing or whatever you're doing, that editor, there's somebody else who can sort of point out your blind spots, and I
Right.
think we all have them. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, and going through the process, I had so I was able to send a draft to a developmental editor, and she looked at it, to make suggestions or whatever, and then then someone, when it comes to the final draft, someone who will do all the nitpicky things like the proofreading and the the context and syntax and whether I'm supposed to, you shouldn't put a participle here. You should put a gerund, or what all the things.
Yeah, the grammar part is not my forte.
Right. So, and like I said, and I found, and I had a really great poetry writing teacher. In fact, I've used her. We had a couple classes with her, and and I knew that she would be perfect. And then I have a man I've worked with for a long time. In fact, I met him when I did the first book. He does all the the marketing copy and things like that. So it's like, so they're all part of Team Mary. So I think
I think that's important when people are thinking about writing a book. Now sometimes you may just want to. I was talking to a woman who wrote basically her life story, but she doesn't want to do anything with it. I said, well, you have 2 adult children. I'm sure they'd love to hear it, And I said, you can just print those 2 copies up for them, that kind of thing. And there are other people who want to just share it with family and friends, or there's the bigger audience.
And yeah, like I said, and that's why, and that's what Book Baby is perfect for, because they're all designed for for people who, like I said, well, in fact, the lady who referred me to Book Baby, that's what she wanted. She had a beautiful 9/11 story that she wanted to just to get done and get to write the book and to get it out there and share with whomsoever. And yeah, so like I said, you're right, and it's really great in that, and they take you through the whole process of what you need to do, and really guide and support and help you in the process. And I think that's what's really great.
Yeah. So I had a hybrid group that I worked with. So yeah, so there's lots of ways, people, if you're interested in writing a book, and and some of them are as simple as, if you want to go on Amazon, they'll print it up for you. When I was doing my book, The Creative Activist, I knew that wasn't going to work, because they gave me an estimate, because I had full color and I wanted really, really good paper. It was like $48 a book. I said, I don't think that's going to work. So yeah, so you have to find the right one. But so tell me a little bit more about where you see yourself going with the work you're doing now, and expanding, growing. What else would you like to see for yourself?
I am at this point with the onset of mindset medicine. It's been propelling me to take CreateWriteNow to the next level, and the CreateWriteNow is now the self-management 101 center, because
Why don't you explain that to people a little bit, what you mean?
But yeah, because for me, the journaling is there's just so much focus on the left brain stuff. Oh, how do you journal? How do you get? I was like, okay, fine, been there. I've always felt, again, my four-letter F word. I've always felt that there's something more that. So when this is the self-management center is the opportunity to show people how to do their inner work, learn how to manage themselves, which includes all the things of self-discovery, setting boundaries, all the good things. So I guess what I'm doing is taking to an individual level what I did with Fortune 1000 companies, just getting people to see themselves as international conglomerates. And it's just like that, to manage all the psychological, mental, spiritual, physical aspects of who they are, their whole being. So and that's where I'm headed. So like I said, that's what always frustrated me about the whole thing that the whole journaling thing. I think it's important to get into the the personal thing, because there is so much fear. But the important thing is, like, journaling is a free resource that we all have inside of us to help us figure out who really lives in our body, what do we want, and why are we here? And those big questions and little questions,
Right. What is the legacy you want to leave? I always talk about, what do you want to be known and remembered for? Right. And so I like to start people off when I'm thinking about, what are your core values and how can we align with them? Because when we're out of that, when we're in disalignment, that's when we get disease and all the other things. And, so, and it's interesting, just to see how other people approach it. I do a lot of writing, and I am a wordsmith and sometimes a perfectionist, which can hinder me, in getting things done. And so I'm curious. Oh, that's a good question. So what do you tell people who are perfectionists? How do you get them beyond that?
I'm a very big fan of getting people back to the page and having continual dialogues and discussions and asking your journal questions about, where does that come from? Why do I do this? And like I said, and I think that whole experience of using your journal as a therapist is a real true benefit of journaling. It's just like getting into, oh, I thought there was this, but oh, it's really that, but that's not my thought. That's so-and-so.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they say most of our thoughts come before we're 7. We make these decisions about life.
So I guess that's not the biggest thing I can offer is to, and that's what an aha is, even for a lot of experienced journalers. Is yes, you can have the dialogue, ask the questions, write it a letter. Just so I think that people don't have the opportunity to learn that journaling is like it is your therapist. It is your lifeline. It's like you can really work out everything spiritually, mentally, psychologically, physically, you name it. And it's just perfectionist. It's like, and so I'm sure then a lot of us always like, why do I always do that? Or
right. Yeah.
Or kick the crap out of ourselves or whatever. And what you find after you do the journaling and you see what a problem solver therapist help it is, it's like when you do something crazy, like I do it now, it's just like, rather than kicking the crap out of myself, I was like, oh, you are just the silliest girl in all of Boston, or whatever. And I think that's another benefit of the journaling. It really helps you say, oh, or like you say, just getting to the point where you say, yeah, I'm a perfectionist here and there, or and it's not a bad thing. It's
right. I just laugh at it now for the most
exactly.
part.
So that's what I think.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I just like I said. So you share my experiences of the journaling of just like, oh, things that I used to, little stupid inconsequential things that I used to, kick the crap out of myself. And it's
It's
just
that
like,
endless loop in your mind, the monkey chatter. And I think journaling is a great way to stop the monkey chatter.
oh, it is, and it's just like, and it's completely okay to just sit down and just write and write and write and write.
And even if you don't write 3 pages, if you just take and write
like I said,
10
this
sentences, yeah.
morning I was doing my morning pages, and I said, 2 pages is enough. I feel like I've covered what I need to cover. I need to go, I'm ready
Right,
to
you've
go.
got other things to do. I get it.
Right, exactly. But like I said, the thing is, it's not the quantity or the what. It's the fact that you do it consistently, and because as you know, we need to keep telling or showing ourselves again and again and again the love, and that's the love.
It is. And learning to sit with our feelings. That's always been a challenge for me.
True.
And especially around food, because I'll overeat, and I'll be just numbing myself with food and learning to sit with the feelings and write them down, even as I'm eating sometimes, just to be aware and own
I hear you, right.
I mean, that ownership of, okay, I'm doing this to myself, but at least I'm writing it down. And there is that accountability piece when you write.
Accountability, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. There's so many ways to use journaling, and to keep track. And I know they've got all the apps today and all that, and you can write. I still like to write on paper and pen. It does something for my psyche, my body, my mind.
That's the only, journaling is pen to page consistently. The end of conversation. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Okay. All right. Can you just sing a little something for us today?
I'll sing you a little bit of my favorite love song, Bob Dylan's "To Make You Feel My Love."
Okay.
When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your case, I could offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love.
Hey, thank you. I was at a conference a number of years ago, and I was talking how they had said to me, mouth the words, choir kind of thing. And I always like to sing in the shower and, sing out loud and all these things. And I ended up singing in front of all these people. I made a little version of the Itsy Bitsy Spider, and it was like Billie Holiday. The itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. And I'm singing, and I had the best time. There is something about that ability to share that joy, and that expression. And it doesn't matter if I sing off key, if I'm having fun, and I understand you can sing 5 octaves now. I'm pretty impressed with that. It's like, wow.
Well, the thing is, it's just like the journaling, doing it consistently. I practice every day, and with the help of my journaling, I've made huge changes in my dietary thing. I'm completely paleo now, just eating good, clean stuff. It's just all these things come together. So, but it's like you said too about, and I'm working with. I've been working with him for a while. The head of New York vocal coaching, and he readily admit he doesn't call his students singers. He calls them vocal athletes.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
It's all about the somatic experience of singing.
Right. I mean, and I've, for many years, I always had trouble with my throat, and I'm very aware of chakras, and this is your creativity, is in this part of your throat. And so it's the same thing when I start singing, or I'm drawing, or I'm scribbling, or I'm writing, this just opens up, and that flow of energy just pours through me and out into other people, because that's how I serve, by sharing my beauty, my voice in whatever form it is. And I think you're doing the same thing. So I really appreciate our conversation. I have one more question for you. So what is the legacy you'd like to leave for your family, your friends, and the community?
The legacy is that we are all universes of infinite possibilities. And I did everything in my power to create, be, and share the best Team Mary ever.
I love that. Thank you so much, Mary. So everyone, I've been saying this for a while. As Helen Keller said, alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. I want to thank you for listening to the Women Who Dare virtual summit today. And if you want to find out more about Mary, give them your website.
It's CreateWriteNow. That's WRITE now.com.
And if you want to find out more about my work, and I do what I call heartstorming sessions with people. So if you're interested in finding about your core values, your passion and purpose, and the stories that are inside of you that will make a difference to the world, go to thewinningadventure.com. Thank you, Mary, and I so appreciate our conversation.
Oh, thank you for having me, Ray. It was a blast. Thank you.
All right, everybody, thank you.